Welcome back. So, I'm recording the most bare bones video possible because of Soul Music 2 coming out soon. Now, a lot of people are going to look at this video and be like, who in the world are you? And why in the world are you talking about this thing called Soul Music 2? Well, I had an album that I released, and this is kind of this video, by the way, is just kind of going to be a jump start into what Soul Music was. It's a brand new account, and I'm just going to try to work on this while I talk about it. Um, so, anyways, basically, long story short, Soul Music was the album that I had been working towards, I feel like, for so long, and it was my first album where, like, I legitimately thought that it was like a gem. I thought that, and I still do think that, by the way. I think that it is an amazing album. I think that it is perfect in every way, and I will stand by that. I think that it is an amazing album. And the deluxe kind of fixed all the flaws that I thought was wrong with the track list. As in, I had a problem with the fact that I felt like it was inconsistent. It didn't hold very much structure. So the deluxe came in and was kind of like, okay, well, now you have a valid structure. And now mixed in with like, now it went from having 13 songs to like almost 30. So you add a bunch of stuff. It combines better versions, higher quality audio from a EP that I released, and the rest are higher quality, new mixes, and basically everything perfect about it. But then I had this one overarching question. Well, what do I do now? I'd worried that it was the last great album I was going to make, and that I was kind of going to make some more subpar albums, like a few of the others I had made, which I really was not very proud of, like Alive and Paradox. Now, Paradox, I do want to say, is still an amazing album. I still love Paradox half to death, and it will stay released on my SoundCloud only, not Spotify, though. I want to save it as kind of an unreleased type music, the earliest records, though, of me being on here. And the EP, by the way, that came out with Paradox is still up. It was named from top to bottom. Beach Day will be getting a new album cover soon, which I talked about on a different stream. But it's getting a new album cover because I just felt like the old one didn't represent it well enough. And then I also decided to say, well, I don't know what to release yet. So there was an album called One Shot that I had started developing, and Hand That Feeds. These two albums. They were supposed to come out on the same day, and I'm kind of going through this quick because I don't really have a ton of time. But I basically made these two, and I was like, okay, they will release at the same time, but on two different streaming platforms. They will be exclusive. One will be exclusive to Apple Music, the other will be exclusive to Spotify. No difference. Just one on one. But then I had scrapped both of them. And I had kind of released a kind of numbed version of them in the form of The Hand That Feeds with a different album cover, and it mixed the final, or kind of not really final, but kind of finished, more finished versions, I want to say, kind of. And that is how now we get like some songs that came out, like time please or something. Sorry, I forgot the name. It's very late at night while recording this. Anyways, that's where that song came from, was that it was originally supposed to be on The Hand That Feeds. One Shot was a way more like aggressive kind of trap album. The other one was a pop album. Hand That Feeds was a pop album, and had some very heavy pop influences even when it wasn't doing that. And basically, the one big problem, the overarching problem with those things, was that One Shot felt too similar to another album I had released but ended up taking off like quite a while ago, called Reduction. Reduction was the kind of prelude to Freedom, and Freedom, though, which is still up today and will stay up probably, was the first real album. The other two were demo albums. They were full of just demos that I had never really finished, which now I'm kind of working on finishing. And we actually saw the song Reduction, I think, get a verse from Young Villain. And so on and so forth. Basically, that's all that happened there. Then, though, I had canceled those albums. And there was one more that I was going to release, which I legitimately forgot the name of. I cannot remember. But then that was going to release. It did not, however. And I was kind of lost because I was like, you know what do I release now? Soul Music's been out now. And I was like, all I have is this one song that was nicknamed BL01. As like a name for it randomly. And basically, I just decided, I was like, you know what? By the way, BL stood for Bugatti Love, because it was the one thing that I could think of. I don't know, very bored type thing, very basic name, but it was the one song that I could think of that was actually good enough to be on it. But the problem was that it was a very trap like sounding song. Had trap drums on it. It did have a soul feature at one time, but that's kind of the point. It didn't sound good. It had heavy synthesizer and heavy bass, and it really sounded really muddy, kind of. So I had never really released it, but I still had the file, and I didn't want to give it up though, because it was really good, really good. So I decided to fix it. I mixed it, but it still didn't work out. And sadly enough, that song kind of stayed not out for a very long time. Until messing around one time on a Discord call with one of my friends, I slowed it down a little. And what I mean by a little is a lot. And the sample started clicking. The drums sounded so much better. I removed the synth off of it, and it just clicked. It sounded more upbeat, kind of uplifting too. So, kind of left it at that. It was good. It was really good. And that was finally the song that I was happy with. I released it. And that song sounds a lot like the songs from Soul Music. Like a lot. And a lot like some of the unreleased songs from Soul Music that had these like heavy soul samples. And very, very different theme. So, I had kind of, like I said, threw that on kind of like a would be nice to have that happen again type thing. Until I had thought about just releasing a sequel to Love's Finale 3 or 2. Doing a Love's Finale 3, which Love's Finale was also another album that I had done. It was a series. Well, it was one album but kind of split into two parts. And the second part is by far the worst one, but it was still very good and still it held one of like my most popular songs for a long time, ZZZ. So I was like, what if I just make a third one? Same type of sound, but just like leave the Soul Music thing for a while, because Soul Music was done. I thought I was kind of done with it. That heavy red color, those heavy, like heavy edited photos where everything was just like red. And I was like, okay, well, I'm probably done with that for right now. I was not, however, though. Every time though I thought of an album cover, I tried to do something with an album cover, it just wasn't good. And that's where I ended up though with Soul Music though. Soul Music was like the album I just kept coming back to. I listened to it and listened to it and listened to it and realized how much more I liked it. It was so calming at times, and then yet it could go so hectic and still sound insanely good. And I was so super proud of it. And I'm still so proud of it. I think it's still an amazing album. I think it's a 10 out of 10 album. I think it's an 8 out of 10, and I think the deluxe makes it a 10 out of 10. Because it adds the songs that give it that, like, that kind of oomph. That make it into what it is. And so, I think that album was perfect, and I wanted to kind of get all these other ideas and demos out of out because I was like, these are kind of good, but I can't just like throw them on anything because it wouldn't sound good. And I don't want to release them all as singles because that would be like 80 singles, or like 20 singles in a day, or just 20 singles spread out over like the next like year. So I was like, you know what? I'll work on Soul Music. Soul Music 2 is a amazing album. It has the most potential out of any album ever. It has one verse, 30 features were cut off of the album because I felt like the instrumental was perfect. And that is the part that was really like, okay, now I gotta work on this more. I started working on it, and I decided that I was just gonna, okay, well, now I'm going all in on this. So I decided on that. Soul Music 2. The same Soul Music themes, but this time with a slightly different twist. This time it would be a actual successor, not a part 2 where Love's Finale 2 was. It would be a straight up successor. No influence, no nothing. And the story of Freedom was over, so you can't really call that a sequel, I'd say. But I'd never really done a sequel. So I was like, I'd made the part 2 for Love's Finale, like I said. That was a part 2. And Alive was a prelude to Broken Records. So Broken Records wasn't really, or not really a prelude. It was kind of just like the front runner. It gave you that like chance to get ready for that. So, like I said though, I wanted to do a second. I started working out stuff. I couldn't think of an album cover though. That's when I landed on a picture of the sky edited to be pink. I thought that it gave that peace that soul music gives, with also that kind of hectic kind of sound that it can have. So, Soul Music 2 was born. With all the same love that Soul Music 1 had, this time with just a little bit more time to get ready. Soul Music is now, I think, the highest growing album right now that I have. It might still be under Love's Finale 1 or Freedom. I don't know if Freedom really did anything, but I know that Freedom has my 2 most played songs, Breathe and Love. But I know that Soul Music is getting up there. It's definitely one of my most popular songs. And one of my most popular songs is Baby, featuring Young Villain. The instrumental and the one with him are both doing insanely well. So I think that this album will do well. I've been working on it. Only 2 people have heard the album fully that haven't worked on it directly. So I think that it's perfect. I think that right now in the state, it's a good 8 out of 10 album, and it's only on its. I only have made the track list now. Like I just now like compiled the track list for the second time, and it is a severely different track list from what I posted on TikTok, by the way. Very different, very different. It has way more songs, and a lot of songs were just removed. Either I couldn't get them to work, or I felt like they just didn't deserve the Soul Music title. Soul Music 2 is coming soon. It will be out before September 18th. And that's just what I want to say. Please stay tuned though for that, because that will be a amazing album release. I'll definitely put a lot more videos out on it. There will be easily a lot of really fun things to do with soul music. You'll be able to hear songs early. I do have a Discord, but I don't check it very often. I'd suggest DMing me on Instagram if you have put in a request to join, because it's very you have to request to join right now, so just preface that a little. I would just note that I will be easily joining and talking about stuff when people join it more often, but it's in my bio. A lot of other things are happening though, and Soul Music 2 is only the beginning of a lot of stuff. Not of like the beginning of like a bigger album or anything like that. This is the successor. Soul Music is done. That whole era type thing is just done. So this new one is very interesting. It's the same and different in many ways. It's the same as in if you just look at the bare bones minimum of like what soul music is, it's very similar. But if you look at the songs and what I'm getting through with this, it is drastically different. Soul Music 1 was all about bringing some music that didn't have to cuss or say anything like that to be really good. Plus a few little interesting interactions in there. And probably my worst interlude I've ever made in my life. New. Literally the name of it. Don't know why I decided to name it that. But anyways though. Definitely this one. Music is the interlude, by the way. This is going to be the only time, by the way, I'm ever going to mention that. Music. When I post the track list later, by the time that you watch this, it'll probably already be out on TikTok and maybe on YouTube. I don't know. It probably will. But and Instagram probably. But it's definitely, you'll see music as the interlude, and it already is my best interlude I've ever made. Bugatti Love, which is already out right now, and Like Me is already out right now. It is definitely the best thing I could possibly make for that. Best interlude, some of the best music I've ever made. It is amazing. So, I'm going to play one more game, and I will, as I'm talking about that, I will share the track list. Starting off with the intro. This is the second time putting together a list of songs for the album. So this is not probably this is probably not the final track list. New songs will probably be added, some songs will stay. The two ones that are locked in are Like Me though and Bugatti Love. So anyways though, starting off with the intro, Too Good. That is the intro that gets you very much in the mood for Soul Music 2 and starts to set the mood for Soul Music 2. And that'll definitely be I feel like that'll definitely be a favorite because it's not very long, and it's a very much, it's like a minute and a half, I think. But it is a very nice minute and a half. After that is Heal. Heal, which being the kinda, I wanna say like a successor to probably like, trying to think of a good song. Probably like Paradox from the first album, actually, like the lead song. This is probably a good successor to that. I'll try to give a good example of that. Amazing. Third song. It is interestingly made. That one is a very kind of like may not happen type track. But I don't know. Might want to just watch that. I don't know if I'll just release that on like the Discord or only on SoundCloud as like a bonus track for anyone who listens to my music there. It might just end up being like a bonus track. Baby I Know. The closest thing to a successor to Baby I could make. And I wasn't even trying to make a successor to Baby. It just sounds a lot like it. So let this be kind of like the continuation of that. This one with no verse, by the way. No verse from Young Villain yet. Or anything. I'm not going to say ever, because you never know. But, never know. That's very good. Goodbye. This Goodbye is different from the one that was on The Hand That Feeds before it got removed. This one's different. It has a new mix, it has a new soul sample actually added to it to fit the theme of the album. Not every song will have a soul sample, but this one is definitely one of the ones that will. It's very faint, it's very nice. Just this is a new song. A lot of things were removed from this also. So definitely be looking at that. It's new. It's very new. Don't be expecting the same song cuz it's better. It's way better. It has new mixes. If I'm not mistaken, this one does not have the vocals, I don't think. From there was one with vocals and then one without. And The Hand That Feeds, by the way, was already like a limited time album. So this one's different though. Trust me about that. Way different. Night and day. Music, the interlude. By the way, my best interlude probably. Um, there's also another interlude right now that's being worked on, and I'll just say this: it's not on the track list yet, but the soul interlude. My idea was that the two interludes will both actually have a reason to be there, other than just to connect songs. They will be a kind of like duality. The old one just had a song soul music, which was very, very soul music themed and kind of a mash. These show you the duality of it. The soul type of music and just music. It shows a very interesting blend. Um, Music was originally not intended for this album, but was reworked to be part of this album. So, a fun, interesting thing about it. Side Story. I've previewed this to a few people. It has been liked every time. Side Story is an amazing song. It is very interestingly made, but very good in the way that it's made. It's definitely different though from soul music. Another one I don't even think. Actually, no, that one does have a slight soul sample in it. And if you couldn't tell, by the way, a lot of these songs will have soul samples in some capacity. So just preface that. Bugatti Love after that. Now. There was a slight version that appeared on The Hand That Feeds. This is not that version. This is the version, by the way, that was released after that. I just got done talking about the whole story with it. How this is a slowed down, kind of more hip hop sounding. So note that. Like Me is the comeback story for me. That's kind of like the, oh yeah, you heard Paradox and you laughed at it. Now let's see let's see you laugh at this when you can't. It is very good, very good. I can really say nothing more about that. There is no soul sample actually on Like Me at all. I don't want this whole album to be like successors of each other. So there will probably be around 13 to 15 songs on this album. So note that. 13 to 15 songs. And a good half of them will probably have soul samples to some degree. I don't want to say all of them, but some. Probably a good like 25% will. So definitely interesting. I hope that this video, and I'm gonna end this video after this game, but I hope this video though was kind of fun for you and for me to be able to talk about this. Soul Music 2 is coming, and it is a delightful successor to Soul Music 1 in every way possible. I hope that this at least was a little bit entertaining for you to see. This might not have. I hope it did. Anyways, I hope it did. If it didn't, then you'll know. Goodbye.